Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back in. We got some more bite-sized business advice today, and we're talking about strategic partners, how to find them, how to grow your business, all about strategic partnerships. I got a really cool guest with me, joining me from across the world over in Bali, Gil Petersil. Welcome to the show, and thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you so much, Brandon. I'm happy that I'm coming to you, so far away. I'm in the future. So for me, it's like past 11 o'clock at night. I've had an epic day with my 3 kids, a lot to be able to share, and I'm going to try to do as much as I can in the minutes we have ahead of us.
So let's roll. I appreciate you staying up late, joining us here on the Harmonious at Lunch podcast. We're talking about 5 hacks to find your next strategic partner. Why is strategic partnership even important in business? I want to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah, of course. So in general, partnerships in life is something we should study more of. Partnerships in business, partnerships going to the gym, partnerships in deciding which bank to work with, partnership with deciding on life partners, partnerships on deciding what schools to take your kids to. And many of us try to do things alone. We don't understand that together we're better, and together it's all about collaboration. It's all about co-creation. And, living in Bali, I could use words like co-manifestation because I really understand that when we do come together, we can manifest much faster. I know I'm a proof of it. What I do in my life is beyond most people's timelines, and what most people don't understand how quickly it could be done and how much at ease when you're working on a level of quantum networks and looking at strategic partnerships as a way of life, to just add value to the people we meet. It makes a lot of sense to stay up late sometimes and still be with my kids, at 7 o'clock in the morning, and still have fun with it. It's time for more people to serve each other, and it's how we tend to achieve what we want to actually get to in life.
Amen. I love it. I fully believe in it. Lucky for you, this is only a little tiny quick podcast, so we'll get you to bed relatively quickly here. But while you're here, I love that explanation of partnerships, and I wish more people had that philosophy. There's so much good that could be done in the world and in business if we all just had that outlook on life. So in terms of finding a strategic partner to grow your business, we'll talk about the business context here today. I'm sure all of this could be applied to other areas of life, but what are we looking for? How do you approach these conversations, and where do you start before even, looking into a partner? What do you need to look for in your own business before you pursue partnerships?
Yeah, it's such a powerful and a complex question because the question itself had multiple questions within it. And I'll try to make it kind of brief and maybe more clear, hopefully, for many who are listening. It's not really about trying to understand what kind of partner do I need now, by understanding that, hey, I'm Gil Petersil. I've lived in 7 countries, and I've had more than 20 successful failures in businesses. And I've had multiple successful failures in partnerships, and one that's lasted 14 years with 3 kids. Currently, we're going through still an amazing year of a conscious uncoupling. So, like, where does that leave us with partnerships? Like, the world is going through an awful, kind of trend of divorces where it's just being done in a bad way. Instead of looking at partnering, coupling, or uncoupling, it's just a way of moving forward in life. So it's not about just finding the best mentor in life for me right now. So many people are saying, Gil, can you introduce me to Tony Robbins? Gil, can you take us to Richard Branson? Gil, how do I meet Elon Musk? I'm like, hold on. Why do you need to meet that person in the network so quickly? Why can't your strategic partnerships be people who are, maybe a few steps ahead of you, 5 steps, 10 steps, maybe not. Maybe they're in parallel countries. Like, I love helping companies move to new countries. It's easier than you think to cross-pollinate within any business or service into a new country. And because I've done it so many times myself and speak multiple languages, and I've helped brands and companies and people, entrepreneurs move where they wouldn't think we would, it's a fear. It's all about this mindset of partnerships, of instead of knowing a network in order to feel comfortable to go there, into that industry, into that city, into that new community, can I not just decide who it is that I need as a partner right now in order to get me to the next stage of my life, or in order to feel more fulfilled and then create a strategy for that. Just think about it, talk to some experts, talk to a mentor about it, talk to ChatGPT about it, and just set a new algorithm to networking towards those kind of partnerships. And there's so many steps that we just miss as human beings. I've made this mistake for most of my life as an introvert by nature, an immigrant since the age of 10. I've gone through the first 25 years of my life and working on really bad codes of building relationships and partnerships and attracting clients or attracting love into my life. Really, these are quantum networking levels that we're talking about of why partnerships. It's not what like is defining what kind of partnerships to bring in. Yeah, there's a few steps to do that, but people need to get over I need partnerships in order to have more of a regular funnel of potential introductions of clients, or I need to have this kind of partnerships in my business or my life in order to get regular opportunities for me to explore more in life. I need to have something working here. It needs to be activated, maybe managed as a network. And this would give me physical exercise options regularly. I get bored quite quickly. I don't know about you guys. So I get into different ways of trying to keep my body in shape. And I'm not in the best shape of my life, but the doctors tell me I don't have a body or blood of a 45-year-old. My blood is quite young. My organs are much, much younger. And it's really interesting to understand that having these partnerships and networks that could take me to that level can help me both in life, but can also help me to enter the Dubai market extremely fast, to enter the Singapore market if I need to because of my business or service. It allows you to hack the old networks that we've been taught, basically.
Yeah, it's definitely it's an interesting way to look at things. I'm curious though. You touched on something. You said, Tony Robbins, Elon Musk, big names, right? Why do people, in your perspective, think that they do need to go there first? Like that maybe that's just I do
Aiming
believe in
high, man.
strategic partnership.
Hollywood has taught us. Hollywood has taught us to aim high, and they're not thinking that. Like I've met Tony, knows a lot. I've been working with him for the last 10 years. Anyone that would have a chance to look at my bio, I tell people try not to Google me, but I do some cool things in my life. And there's only one Gil Peterson on Google, so you can't miss me. And I love it when people get in touch because I'm very reachable. I'm very accessible. I'm the opposite of what we've learned on networking on people at specific status, make it very difficult to reach them. I specifically teach people how to do this. And years ago, I was on the cover of a magazine in Russia where just to show people in the world how accessible someone could be, but still psychologically we don't think people are accessible, I put my real business card with my real email and my real everything on my forehead, kind of stuck. I was sitting there in a yoga meditation, and I was one of the top magazines in the Russian market, like the Forbes of Russia. And it was really interesting to see, and it was tested, and not in just that country, and it was tested with a lot of foreigners, where there was an English-speaking magazine. And it was beautiful to see how, as people, we're not constantly understanding that, like, I can actually attract new key people into my life. I can find them in groups. I can find them in communities. I can find them in institutions. I can find them in clubs. I can find people that I need now in order to make my life really easy, in order to move forward, take some seismic shifts. Don't take small little steps, but do things that are a little uncomfortable. Networking for me has been uncomfortable for the last, 45 years. I didn't understand how uncomfortable it was back then. But now when I see people trying to build relationships, trying to go deep, it's not networking about exchanging business cards and looking for someone that I could sell to. But it is about building these karmic partnerships, which again, some people would call strategic partnerships, as we call them today, because they're people that are very much aligned with where my path is. Where am I going today, tomorrow, next few weeks? And like, who do I need to connect with? And just reverse engineering a little bit and working with a coach or a mentor that would just help you see those steps. That's it. It's very simple.
So I want to understand the difference here because you said they may be aligned, but I want to hear how you describe it. You said
Of course.
attracting the right people, and then you also said targeting the right people to develop partnerships with. How do you balance both? Is there a blend, or is it
Yeah,
one or the
man.
other?
Wow, man. I love your questions. Good stuff, Brandon. You're going very, very deep very quickly. I appreciate that. Again, anyone that's listening, please send me a nice message with a good question like Brandon. I love that. I love getting questions, and I love even answering with a short, like minute voice message. A big part of what I do is I look to understand how I can hack time. So I've been very intrigued by time. I've been studying time for the last few years, but going very, very deep into something that one day maybe will be a PhD, but I'd like to be a doctor of networking. I'm already a professor of networking on many universities around the world. I've taught quantum networking only in the past year, but I've taught the sciences and arts of human networking, looking at really the deep aspect, not the business cards, social media, starting or ending conversation, but really looking at the deep part of how do we attract the right people? So that's a whole different kind of conversation of like sitting down, and there's a whole form that people can kind of look into in a structure of like outlining the kind of people you want to meet and outlining where you're going to maybe potentially see them, and like just dreaming, being a kid, dreaming as crazy as possible. If it's Elon Musk, how do I get to Elon Musk? Like maybe it's easier to meet Elon's team. Maybe it's fun and interesting to see where Elon's going to speak at an event, and maybe I can go to this event. Like just dreaming nonstop. There isn't one solution. There is like too many. And if you stop, then ask someone, pay a mentor, pay a coach, pay an advisor, go deep with prompting GPT on how to attract people by, again, I call it manifesting, but it's a manifestation code. It's being very clear with who you wish to meet and taking some steps on it. The other one is targeting people. It's like saying, hey, in order for me to really move what I'm doing forward, I need to meet these three people. Like I really, and it's a really cool win-win. And it's like I know I could bring value to their company. Like I have, hundreds of these cases where it just made sense for that company to be a sponsor at my event. I've attracted thousands of sponsors to events. I've had a couple of thousand events that I've produced in our lives through our companies. And I've learned at one point, it's not about attracting a sponsor and getting value from them, but it's giving them massive value back. So I started targeting really cool companies that I thought would be super useful for my like my audience, and I really wanted to promote them. It's like, guys, like your health bar is so much better than any of these other snacks they usually sell at events. It would be really cool to have you guys here, and I can help you. Or like your new photography studio is really cool. You guys are a new company. Let me help you out. Set up a cool little mini studio at my event and do some fun pictures with people. Like all these partnerships with like my partner, Katya used to love having flowers at events. And if you go into high-end flowers, not cheap plastic ones, you could spend thousands for a nice info business event, a nice coaching or business training event. We used to get all of our flowers for free because we used to give them 3 to 5x return from one event. Because we would bring in the most unique arrangements of flowers that are very connected to the event, and we would talk about them with pride. Like we would mention the owners, like it's a cool story. They're not a random company. They're a cool couple. They're a family-owned company. Guys, listen, I want to see 5, 10 people who need a bouquet in the next 10 days. Fabulous. 30 people raise their hands. Guys, I challenge you. Tag me when you buy that bouquet. Like it's a fun thing, like heart to heart. And I did this like 20 years ago. So these days we do things at a different level where we try to help really amazing conscious entrepreneurs, impact investors to come together. I've had governments in the past ask me for help, and I've supported in creating partnerships at those levels. It wasn't as much fun, but it was really great experience. Now I'm trying to be involved in much more, conscious entrepreneurship, things that are very impactful for the world. We're involved in quite a few projects. Tea has become a big part of my life. Tea ceremonies and a Chinese, like really inspired by Chinese cultural side of how to serve tea and how to create space and time for people to really connect. And we do it in different formats. Doesn't have to be overly formal, but we do it in business settings. We do it in music settings. We just do it as an alternative to connect and to build partnerships.
That's super cool. I'm curious too about the way you go about approaching partnerships. You hinted at it a little bit. I'm curious if you have a formula, but you say you wanted to obviously add value to them. And I see so many people approaching partnerships. Let's use the Elon Musk or Tony Robbins example, saying, "Hey Gil, can you connect me to Elon Musk?"
Yeah.
And your first question to them, whether you verbalize it or not, is probably why, what's in it for me, and what's in it for Elon, or what's in it for Tony. Like, I'm not just going to hand you over their phone number. So outside of those examples, if I'm looking for a business partner, someone who can provide leads or help me with my marketing or my HR, whatever, what's your formula for giving them, approaching them with a value that I know they will receive rather than just saying, "Hey, can you do this for me?"
Yeah, it's So again, man, I compliment you on your questions. Like I've done hundreds of podcasts. You like to get to the point. You go deep, but again, every one of your questions has 5 to 7 questions within it. So uh, my answer would be about 1 to 2 hours, depending if my audience is a business club of multimillionaires or one of the biggest corporations in the world that needs to know how to break it down. It's very different B2C, B2B, B2G. Who are you speaking to? Who is the audience in front of you? There isn't one formula. I'm not one of those guys that would, tell people about the 1 step, the 5 step formula and blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't work this way. It needs to be looked into is what is my case? What am I really trying to do? And identifying your you can call it a target if you know a name of a person or if you know a company you really want to work with. It's okay, it's a target, it's not a negative thing. It's like it's focused, it's awesome, man. Hey, I'm focused on 5 companies. You know how many of my clients, like really successful people and some not that successful, but like really amazing people that I love to help people. For me, it's not about helping people so I can make money. It's about helping people so we can help more people together. I can't do it on my own, kind of thing. It's like, hey, why do I serve people tea? It's not that I can make money from it. It's like we can talk about how to make a bigger impact. So this is for everyone who's listening. Reach out to me. Let's talk during the day, not 11 o'clock at night. But this definitely inspired me to stay up. And the partnership is really to try to understand added value of that person, that to that person. It's trying to understand the network connection between you and that person and not having just one connection or introduction, but mapping it out. Again, it's a big thing. To audit the network is something that is therapeutic. It's something that therapists and psychologists must speak about. Auditing our network, it's not talking about our parents for days and days and months and years, but auditing the networking is taking some hours from a week or a month and like really dedicating it to cleansing the network. Who's in my network that I could just archive for a little bit? How do I make time for new partnerships to come in? Which is where most people get it wrong. That's why, like, your question is so important. But unfortunately, a lot of people come to me and say, Gil, I want more, more, more. I'm like, okay, tell me how you are with time management. Tell me how many people want your time. And that's important. I got 3 kids. I do a lot of philanthropy. I sit on the board of my kids' school. I try to travel less these days. It's amazing, but I get so much more done. Before COVID, I was doing 60 trips a year. Now I'm like doing 4 or 5. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm doing so much more in my life. And I'm still finding the time for massages and, for like just hanging out, taking my kids out of school for a half a day and just hanging out, having dates with them. And my kids are young, they're like 4, 6, 8. So it's like really cool to hang out with them and still have time to do this in the evenings and, get on mentorship calls and meet up some people that are doing something amazing and they don't have money to pay me, but we can have a tea together and I can give them some of my time. We have time. Um, we have time. But I know with you, time is very limited. So I just want to respect your time and having such a powerful question like, that formula for attracting partnerships. It's making the time, it's deciding who these partnerships are, it's outlining some value and it's taking 2 or 3 steps and it's realizing that whatever I'm doing right now, at least I'm doing it. And it's also understanding that however good I think I am at building partnerships, maybe I'm a 2 out of 10. And that's okay. Let me build another one and be a 5 out of 10. That's okay. That's on my best days, when I have all of my systems in place, all of my hacks, I'm in my best health, all of my networking angels and my assistants are working at their best. I'm pushing to a 6.5 out of 10. When I
Wow.
ask people about how they are in networking and how they are in partnerships, they tell me, oh, I think I'm a 7 or an 8. I tell them, really, how many introductions a day do you make? How many times a day do you speak about others, not yourself? And I tell people if those answers are not attractive, you're maybe a 2 or a 3 out of 10. And that's difficult people to hear, but that's why I challenge your listeners to reach out to me and tell me what kind of partnerships they're looking to attract and why. Challenge me. And it's not just about the Elon Musk because Elon's busy, but we could talk to some of his team members. We could talk to some leaders from his companies. We could talk to some community members. We could buy 1 share and show up at the event. There's a hack to be in his presence. Many of them, actually. I don't know if you want to ask another question or if you're good with time.
Time is time, my friend, and we are out of it.
Yeah.
But that was a phenomenal answer, and that's kind of what I was hoping you would say, because that would be like saying there's a formula to interact with human beings to get the result that you want. It's depends on the person, it depends on the situation, and the partnership you're asked for. There's no formula to relationships, but I love the way you approach it. It's a very systematic and down to earth approach. So Gil, I thank you for your time. This means a lot to me. It means a lot to the audience. I'm going to put a way to connect with you on the screen, but where do you suggest? You ask people to reach out to you. Challenge accepted.
Hey,
Let's see who in the audience actually does
if
it.
people write me on LinkedIn, on Instagram, my team makes sure I see it, which is really cool. So if someone just wants a link to something, my team will send it. But if someone sends me a really cool question, I love giving people at least a minute and leaving them a voice message. It's really fun these days to be able to do that. And I play a lot with minutes. I created them 1 minute games around the world, and I've done this thousands of times at Davos, at COP28, at Tony Robbins events, where a minute could be prolonged and it feels like many, many minutes. Where most people don't have an answer to this question. And hopefully it's the biggest gift that I can give you, brother. How many minutes are in one day is an answer that most human beings don't know, but they know all the other answers of minutes and an hour and hours in a day. And, they know how many days in a year and days in a week. And we know all this. Do you know how many minutes in a day?
I don't know. It just popped in my head. That's the one.
If you had to guess, what would you guess without counting?
If I had to get, I don't
And
know.
this is for everyone right now. Everyone right now, it's like send Brandon a text message and guess a number. If you
Yes.
calculate it, it's not fair. But what would you say?
No,
It's
I
really
was just
special.
my quick math was somewhere in 16 to 1800 range.
Yeah, so that's quite close. It's amazing. People give so many special numbers, but the number is quite special. It's a gift. 1440.
Mm.
1440 are very powerful numbers, and all algorithms and codes of quantum networking. 1440 is equal 9 as well. Remember those numbers and see how you could take just 100 minutes of your day and allocate them to quantum networking and partnerships and really taking life to wherever you want it to be. And use a mentor, use a guide, ask for help.
That's super cool. Gil, I love it. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
For those of you watching, listening, if you want to reach out to Gil, if you want to contact him, go follow him on social media, whatever you want. It's all down in the show notes below. Thank you for being here. Make sure you subscribe. We want to have you back. We put out 5 of these episodes a week to help you grow your business, get outside the box you find yourself in, and of course, build a more harmonious business and life. We'll see you on tomorrow's episode of Harmonious at Lunch.